Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, goodbye.
Shazam!
Huzzah! Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Deductionist podcast. I do hope your seasonal celebrations were sufficient and you have all remained suitably sozzled throughout the course of all events that were.
We all managed to hunt down Santa and take a piece of meat off him.
Yeah, that's it. Miss Riffraff's here. Welcome. A good evening to Board. Welcome. And even separately, good evening, Adam, as well.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening, Board. Yeah.
Good evening, all.
Yeah, good evening, all. It kind of feels like a primary school, like opening an assembly that you do. Good afternoon to the podcast. Good afternoon, all. And it was always that tone. Always that tone.
Yeah. just sort of like a deep sense of misery layered with a bit of dreariness. Well, a bit more dreariness, and then sugar of school days gone.
That's weird. We paint pretty word pictures. I think that's precisely what it is.
Yeah.
That's it. Good afternoon to Jennifer's here as well. Fabulous tastic. You're all incredibly attractive for turning up to watch this, and well, you more so.
Yeah, you.
How was your New Year's celebration, sir?
I organised a spice cupboard with a glass of wine, and then me and Becky both ran out into the garden after watching a bit of Jules Holland for the countdown.
We watch Jules Holland every year.
Who won Eurovision on BBC One. He was blasting out some bangers, and then did Queen, and then we ran outside for the countdown to look at all the fireworks. We just saw one firework from the neighbouring house go, woo! Well, we ran back
yes!
Fireworks in London. and then we had a dance, and then we went to bed.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There was a little part of me. Go on.
I was just saying, most importantly, that spice cupboard is fucking organised.
There was a little part of me that was hoping that you weren't going to say cupboard and you were going to say girls' reunion.
Girls' reunion.
No, that is Spice Girls reunion.
I mean, that happened as well, but
that just doesn't take the glass of wine naturally.
Scary Spice was just rude. I didn't want to, if I could just forget that they came.
That they did what? Sorry.
They did nothing of the sort. There was no spiciness at this spice party, which is what we call it.
Jennifer, you're absolutely right. You are attractive when you miss the show as well. It's just that you've caught the show, so you are decidedly more attractive. It's like the opposite of some kind of disease. Yeah.
Just keeps on.
Yeah. Eventually, the more episodes you watch, your attractiveness will just be out of control. It will be out of control. You will be a nuclear force to be reckoned with.
It'll be a danger to society more than anything. You'll have to sort of move to the wilderness.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it, right? That's the way to do it. We spent our New Year's Eve playing New Phone Who Dis. It was it's a little like Cards Against Humanity. But it's done like with text messages. So you have like an inbox message that comes up that goes down into the middle. One person is the judge, and then you get a bunch of replies that you think would be funny. You make your kind of contribution, and there's some colourful stuff in there. There's some colourful stuff. It's like having to explain to Phoebes, some of the words that are in there is, well, what was that, my love? Yeah, like having to explain what a fleshlight is.
Oh, God. Just mispronounce it. It's like, yeah, flashlight, standard torch.
Yeah. Oh, no, naturally. It was like we were driving home from the school run today, and I said, how was your last period, Phoebes? And she went, what? I meant, class, your last class. How was your last class? Oh, God.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. But I've also rearranged this. You'll know my bookcase. Yeah, my bookcase has vanished. So I wonder if I can. So I've got. This is my
okay.
authentic Jeremy Brett
Position.
Yeah. I'm still in the same position. And then no, it's still here. Then these are my collections of Sherlock 50 pences with something I got from the museum, and then we go up a little bit more.
Oh, that's cool.
Which way? That's my favourite piece of art ever, and not just because it's Sherlockian. It's an amalgamation of 3 actresses that have played Irene Adler over the years, and someone's kind of collated them into one woman. The other is me and Moriarty, and the top one is something Liam got me. It was an engraved piece of wood with loads of Sherlock quotes on, filling in the kind of silhouette. But instead of Sherlock, he's had it done so it says my name instead.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is cool. Yeah. So there were a couple of people asking for like a bookcase tour. And my response was like, well, I understand the premise that it would be interesting to see, kind of what stuff is being read, but I was like, it will take me close to a literal age to try and tidy and whatnot, so I just got rid of them instead. I mean, they're at my mum's house, but it's yeah. I can now do this.
My God,
I couldn't do that before. So there was there was an idea. I don't think we have a collective cool level to pull off saying the word motherfucker. I don't think. No, that's not something we can do. But yeah. We have been egreged. That's not the right word. I was. That's not even a word. I was trying. I was trying to kind of make something out of egregious to see if it would fit, but it really didn't. We focused on like. Yeah, we've been general egregious. General egregious. Hello there. My Voltron's now back to full working order.
Oh, nice.
Because it's a new one. It's a new one. So we've dedicated a couple of episodes to this to this kind of topic of calling out bullshit, calling out bullshit about the ways in which body language and non-verbal communication and all of that kind of stuff is spoken about, is written about. It's certainly given this kind of opinion that you can look at somebody and know matter-of-factly X, Y, and Z as a result. They move their elbow, therefore, blah, 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 is happening.
Yeah.
And it still baffles me to this day that this kind of opinion perpetuated by it. So there was actually an article sent to me by one of my colleagues at Pro Sci-Fi, which is cool because he's ex-CIA. So I still do a kind of I still do a kind of nerd explosion when I get to say that out loud. It doesn't mean anything. Because realistically, he doesn't work there anymore, right? But it's still cool to say.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's still cool to say. And he sent me an article on this chap Where's his name? Where's his name? Tracy Harpster. Tracy Harpster. And I am now today years old, learning that Tracy is a unisex name.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Like I knew that Jordan was a unisex name, and Tony was a
yeah.
unisex
I
name.
can't say I've ever heard of Tracy as being a man's
Yeah.
name.
No, well, apparently it is. Apparently it is. But it seems to be
Interesting.
Tracy CY instead of EY
Right. Okay.
in that way. And Board, what do you guys think of micro expressions? Usually I would reference Pandora's box to open, but I feel that referencing that would be like opening the Ark of the Covenant, and all of your faces would melt. Ironically, in discussion of micro, we will touch we. Yeah, we can touch on that shortly, but I want to look at this and how it relates to some of the stuff that was on the Avengers press tour for Endgame. Now, this interview and this whole kind of scenario itself is a few years old. Did you ever hear anything at the time about all of the hatred
I,
for Brie Larson?
yeah, I did know about the Brie Larson stuff because there was a line. I think I vaguely remember an interview that pinpointed. It might have been a thumbnail of the interview actually, and I remember them sort of like pointing at her and saying like she hates the cast
Yeah,
and she hates the
yeah.
director, she hates them too, any bloke within this film or anything like that, and it was very like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know much more than that. That's all I know of it.
Oh, mate. Well, it was. In my opinion, well, the main interview was her in the middle of Chris Hemsworth and Don Cheadle. And my opinion of Don Cheadle's call out is just that it's phenomenal because every interview I've seen of Don Cheadle, he seems to be this kind of deadpan, I'm just going to give you my honest response, kind of this, like, I would call you a dick if I thought you were a dick, not to be insulting, but just to let you know that you're a dick, kind of straight face, you know? Uh, like the bit with Don Cheadle and Mark Ruffalo, where Mark Ruffalo accidentally gave it all away. Oh, well, everybody dies in this one, and Cheadle goes, "Dude, whatever, fine, whatever." That seems to marry quite well with the kind of interviews that I've seen him do. But
Yeah.
there was this remark made by this body language expert. I've no idea who it is. I couldn't. I'd be straight with you. I couldn't be bothered to Google to find out the person's name who made the analysis. I just remember the article. So if you want to go and find it, go and find it because it's interesting. Well, it's funny, funny as hell. And she being Brie Larson was apparently. Trying to control the two guys and control her position in order to try and elevate her status and whatnot. And Cheadle on Twitter is it's like bullshit. You should see my body language right now. Loads of laughing faces. Actually, what was going on is she kept having to move her ponytail out of the way because her stylist wouldn't leave her alone. So she's frustrated at her. Like,
Right. Wow.
bravo.
And it sort of reminds me of. Have you seen that parody of? I think it's the first Sherlock scene, but
Pete
it's
Holmes.
done with Pete Holmes, yeah, and he makes all the wrong deductions over the top, and then it turns out, oh, it's just because such and such. That sounds similar
That's
in vein.
that's pretty much precisely what it is. Now, don't get me wrong, right? There will be opportunities for people over the course of their lifetime to spot somebody that's trying to control other people by elevating their position. That happens, but it's this kind of this equals this type of codswallop. God, that's fun to say. Codswallop. That seems to be perpetuated, and I actually had a kind of chuckle to myself making my own little meme about the whole thing. Do you want to see it?
Yeah. Meme away.
Hang on, it's buffering. So for those of you that are only listening to this, it's that meme where the guy's looking back at the other girl while standing next to his presumed girlfriend as well. I've referenced him as the body language student checking out the easy answers on YouTube, and a list of kind of cited behaviours that hopefully a lot of people should be going through in order to achieve some kind of understanding of what it is to actually use this kind of information. But
I suit that that idea of someone who is looking at sort of easy body language answers on YouTube. I'd imagine them doing, yeah,
that fits. I've seen that eyebrow twitch before. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. If it is that you are looking at these type of videos and going, oh yeah, I recognise this from boom 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 boom, all you've done there is commit to a confirmation bias. That's all you've done. And don't get me wrong, 1 time out of 10 you might be right. You might be. But the odds are stacked against you. It just sucks that 1 time you might be right, you think, I'll double down and this is exactly how I should do it. But I'm stepping into talking about, let me give you a bit about this article. So it's from a website called ProPublica.org, and the kind of claim of Mr. Harpster. Harpster tells police and prosecutors around the country that they can. Sorry, I've skipped in too far. I started at the wrong paragraph. Here we go. He had a business to promote a miracle method to determine when 911 callers are actually guilty of the crimes they are reporting. I know what a guilty father, mother, or boyfriend sounds like, he once said. Harpster tells police and prosecutors around the country that they can do the same. Such linguistic detection is possible, he claims, if you know how to analyse callers' speech patterns, their tone of voice, their pauses, their word choice, even their grammar. Stripped of its context, a misplaced word as innocuous as hi or please or somebody can reveal a murderer on the phone. No, it fucking can't.
I just imagine that bloke having a phone call with someone and accidentally believing they may now go and murder someone. Like, oh yeah, right. Cheers for the chat, Mum. Yeah, nice one. Call the police.
Well, within this article as well, there are clips of 911 calls where the people that are receiving the call are trying to use these methods in order to figure out if what they're talking about is actual truth and whatnot. But where are we? So it goes down into people dying as a result, suicide calls not being believed or understood or taken seriously. Right? They're just. I mean, the list goes on. But it's.
I mean, those are the worst ones, aren't they? People actually genuinely needing.
Sure.
People thinking they have the upper hand on kind of like, oh, I know they're not going to do it, or they're not being sick. You can tell if someone's going to do this or that. You can, and it's just like, no, you can't make any assumptions about anyone. You ain't going to. If you've just heard the person, especially on these calls where someone's making threats against their own life, and you've only just got the call from them, and as a professional, you've made that solution, that result in your head where they're like, yeah, I know they're not going to do it. Yeah, it's fine. Be all right. And then it costs a life.
But be all right. That could kind of be attributed to so. What is that? Oh, it's a piece of fluff.
That so as you look down into your crotch, you go, what is that?
No, I put it. It's a piece of fluff on my jumper. Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
The last remnants of my penis. That's all it was.
Come around.
Oh, sorry. But the "it'll be all right" approach is something that you can attribute to a lot of people's education and application of this kind of material. And don't get me wrong, it sucks for the policemen and women in the States. It sucks because their opportunity to train and be educated is minimal, right? They get less training than barbers before they're sent out on the streets to kind of to kind of employ this material. There was a video that one of my mates shared. I think it even may have been Jim. I don't. It will more than likely have been Jim. I don't know for sure, but that's not the point. It was a video of people who work in law enforcement from around the world, looking at statistics regarding training and practice and education and this kind of thing. And they're going like so many thousand hours to be training to be a barber, so many thousand hours to be training to be a doctor and a lawyer. And all of the graphs, like bars on there, were pretty big, and so that they then posed I mean, this is a policeman from Wales, from Africa, from New Zealand, from all around, and so they then ask how many hours of training do the policemen and women get in the States before they're turfed off to try and do this kind of thing. And their bars are like this. In comparison, it's ridiculous, but
Mad.
this harpster method, right? It's not new. It's something that we've referenced before ourselves in terms of statement analysis. Statement analysis is the literal words that someone is saying, the vehicle for communicating the kind of information that somebody's speech is trying to communicate. There's arguably the most popular guy on YouTube for doing this is Peter Hyatt, a very well respected as well, a gentleman that's been doing it for I don't know, since I don't know. I was trying to look for a metaphor that made it sound like ages. And part of me was going, say back in Nam, but then another part of me went, I don't know, what if that may have been relevant? And so I just chose against it, and may have kind of acknowledged it in an indirect way. But the kind of claims of statement analysis is that you can use speech patterns, filler words, stutters, distance in language, contextual phraseology, pauses, pace, tone, these kinds of things. Whereas over the course of a period, you can use those kinds of things to develop an idea about somebody's predisposition towards bullshit. Somebody's capability to lie. Like my natural speech pattern, I have like I've not counted them, but I don't know, maybe 8,000 things I want to say at once, and inside my brain there's little voices going, pick me, I'm insightful, and I will make, pick me, I'm a joke, pick me, like, and then so I kind of stutter sometimes, and in accordance with these types of... What was that?
They might have a battle royale. They'll just go at each other. The last man standing. It's always the idiot who hides under the desk.
He's the smart one. He's the smart one.
That's the why half the time in these podcasts, all you hear me say is,
or you just see the...
Yeah. Help.
Need somebody. Anyway, the main problem with this type of snippet is that a 911 call is not, in this particular context, is not considered contextually, right? You're looking at people who, you're listening to people who are emotionally highly strung.
Yeah.
And if we were to, okay, how many times in your life, I'm not expecting you to know specifically, but as a guesstimate, how many times in your life would you say you've experienced like real kind of gargantuan fear of something?
Every time I see a moth.
Fair enough. What about anger?
Oh yeah, of course you have those moments.
What about happiness?
What is happiness?
Do I need to turn you off and turn you back on again? Reboot the system.
Emotion.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
The point I'm making is that you don't talk in the same way. Your idiolect, as it's known, changes depending upon your emotional situation. So the reason this is flawed, primarily from the start, is because there is no way to take a sufficient kind of control group dynamic of their usual responses in order to compare them to on a situational level. This might just be how somebody talks, right? I stutter. I say hi, right? If I'm trying to be professional or put on a phone voice, I might say hello, or or I might breathe a little too much out of my nostrils so it sounds a bit more upper class, and change the way that my speech is there. But that's not me being deceptive. That's me loathing the fact that I'm from Stoke, and and I want to work extra hard to make sure that I don't sound like I'm from there because I want to get on in life.
yeah, yeah. Like with humor, I know, I have a sense of humor that is a little bit sort of off center that would normally follow into kind of like lad banter, that kind of thing. It wouldn't necessarily fall into like you know uh, blokey talk, that kind of thing, with that sort of humor. And we've shared the same sort of jokes. You understand my sense of humor. I understand my sense of humor enough to know where it does and doesn't fit. So sometimes, even if because I think like part of everybody's humor is part of their personality, isn't it? In a way,
Oh yeah,
your natural response is a funny response, but you have to kind of monitor yourself. And I suppose in a way, I've never really thought of that as being, sort of like deceptive in certain situations or in certain groups. You're just sort of like changing
yeah,
the way you might respond because you know better because you know in your head like yeah they're not going to get that or yeah they're going to find that weird if I say that. You kind of just know, don't you, that kind of thing, where to dial it up and dial it down. You're not
exactly.
necessarily changing yourself, are you? It's just that's something that you do depending on
Yeah,
like obviously yourself as a performer
yeah,
as well, walking into crowds and stuff like that. Obviously you're selling yourself, but you're also changing yourself depending on like when I've seen you perform, change yourself depending on the like reactions or
yeah.
the tell crowd, that kind of thing.
Mate, you're dead right. You're dead right because the kind of the big flaw in this kind of statement analysis approach of 911 calls, particularly, is not only do you not have enough information to work with about the person, but like put it into the context of England, you might get somebody just because this relates to one of the buzzwords that they use in the description for the article as accident. That's seen in this article as a distancing language. Your accident, you're minimising your interference with the situation. It is things that are out of your control. Accidents are small, situations are bigger. This type of thing, but like
Right.
when somebody answers a call, when somebody makes a call, stressed up to their eyeballs about whatever has happened, you don't say, "Oh God, I gotta call 911." Hello. What's the best word I can use to describe what happened? I'm in a predicament. What?
Everyone's on fire.
What are you even talking about? And take it from a geographical approach.
Yeah.
I know this goes across a number of states in America. I don't know if it goes across all, but there are different slang words and different in different social idiolects depending upon whether people are lower class, middle class, working class, blue collar, upper class, first class, no class, whatever. But that's the same with England. You might have the exact same situation happen, and somebody go, "Oh my God, there's been a terrible accident," and somebody just ring up and go, "Help him!"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you
Because
would.
they're so stressed. Different people
Yeah, absolutely.
in that particular moment. So it pains me when this type of this means this approach is perpetuated by these snake oil criminals under ninja training. And if you know what I mean by that, either ask Miss Riffraff or take the first letter of each of the words, and you'll get it. You'll get it.
Is that how you say people sort of how they answer the call to, well, how they make the call in terms of panic situations? Sometimes you can have people that are just numbed by a situation, aren't you? Absolutely numb, seeing something so terrible they don't know how to process it, and will make the emergency call at a very kind of as your day goes kind of demeanor. Like there's been a shooting. There's a lot of people dead. That's not necessarily going to be someone who's should be thrown onto the deceptive pile. It's just someone who's they've reacted in a certain way that has put them in shock, and they
Absolutely.
can't really deal
Absolutely.
with it.
Absolutely.
And they might ignore a phone call to a very disturbing situation.
Yeah. Well, there was a similar situation like that with a young guy who he was particularly infamous, and I use his audio recordings in some of my sessions as well. He basically invited this guy he knew. They were both teenagers at the time. The other guy, I don't think he was English, was a bit younger than the English guy, and. Long story short, the English guy had killed the other guy. But when he's on the phone telling the police to come to his house, he was saying that I'm just going to use the words European guy. He might not even be from Europe, but just so you get the idea. And he was talking like, yes, the European guy came round to my house. He seemed very irate. And he was very not himself, stamping around and shouting and throwing things, and we ended up in an altercation. And I don't know what happened after it, but I killed him. And you can hear the person taking the call the other side. Getting more details, asking to repeat the situation. Where are you? Do you have any weapons there? Where's the body? This kind of thing. So the police know what they're walking into when they get there, and as they're talking, you can tell that the call taker is of the opinion that this person's in shock, right? This person's in shock, but the actual truth of the matter is this guy had viciously lured the European fellow round to his house, got him to come to his bedroom and cut his throat.
Darmed him. Oh no.
Right, absolutely. He got sent to prison as well, just for being this complete kind of devoid of emotional connection towards the actions that he'd taken, and he was sending like kind of threatening Snapchats to the victim's family in terms of like words to the effect of "Ha ha, I killed him."
Bloody hell.
Yeah, words to the effect of that. So this whole kind of, yes, you can get a lot of information from somebody's speech pattern and somebody's emotions. Like, for example, from how I'm talking right now, I would imagine a number of people think a number of things about what's going through my head at the minute, or what my emotional state is like, or what I might be dealing with before this or after this or whatever it is. Some people might think I'm really kind of muted about this. This kind of stuff enrages me. It enrages me. Is that coming just across just in my voice? Probably not. It might be more that I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to communicate a different side this way round, as opposed to fully leaning into how angry I am and everything else that's going on in my life at the minute. There is no real equivalence towards a voice by itself. You need the connection towards other things. You can say, yes, this person indicated, that there was signs of deception or excuse me, signs of deception or whatever else it was. But after that, you can only say it as an indication and nothing more. Right? That's what was that, mate?
See, the rage is coming out in hiccups.
Yeah, that's what it is. I've just got this kind of acidic build-up underneath. So I think it was Borg that asked about micro expressions. Was it? Yeah, Borg asked about micro expressions. Short kind of digression into micro expressions. These suffer the same consequences as solely relying on statement analysis. If you're going to rely solely on one aspect of information, you're already fucked.
Yeah.
You're already fucked. Right? That's the be all and end all of it. So that's why the police officers in America are up against it, because they don't have the opportunity to train for that long. But also they're being sold a heap of steaming pile of pterodactyl BS. I don't know why pterodactyl, but there we go. That was just the first animal that popped in there. Micro expressions. A lot of things that kind of go around the micro expression territory is the cultural significance of emotional displays. Let's not forget the fact that Paul Ekman has never let his work be peer reviewed. That's one of the main reasons why I'm writing the monographs part 2, because when I look back at the chapter on faces in the monographs, I'm kind of like, oh God, I want to rip the pages out. I want to rip them out and start again. It's the beginnings of being onto the right line, but in terms of the positivity that I had to say about Ekman, I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. So I'm going to kind of almost print a retraction of sorts.
When did your mind change on Ekman?
Oh God, it was maybe a couple of weeks after Pipes came out.
Oh right.
Yeah, because we're kind of tangenting a smidge, but that's fine. When Pipes came out, there was the stuff that we did a chapter on faces, and looking at expressions and the 3 truths and a lie, and this kind of thing. But where we started our kind of methodology for figuring out the information that was being communicated, it started at the face and then added in every other observation that was there, whereas the micro expression training itself treats everything in isolation. If your eyebrows move in a specific way, it is this.
Right.
Yeah, like the only thing we can say now at the minute, like in terms of expressions, is when you just let out a small laugh, right? But the only thing we can say, like categorically at this moment, due to the speed with which it vanished from your face, the smile, is that temporary moment of laughing wasn't really a strong one. It was a punctuation to a comment or a remark. It wasn't really a link towards some inhibited joy that you were keeping inside. It was the way English people say certain offhanded comments and then go. Right, that's the cultural thing of smiles. Whereas this type of interpretation might lead others who haven't been properly educated on the topic to think, well, Adam and Ben are being disingenuous. They're trying to communicate joy, but they're not really feeling it. Right? There's so many things to consider.
You know what joy is really,
right? So there's one of the books, I forget which one, and that's not something I take lightly. I take lightly because I try not to forget anything. It was a discussion on sadness. In that sadness can be a disengagement, like no kind of activity or whatnot that's going on in the face, and a disengagement of focus. I'm looking directly at the camera. I can't see my screen's over here. Can you see my eyes? They're not kind of being blinded out with reflections because of my glasses.
I can see your eyes.
Okay. So if I'm looking directly at you, this would be the disengaged sadness.
Are you kind of like off to the
Yeah,
centre a little bit?
it's just slightly off. It's just slightly off. But
Uh,
also, but also, that can be your disengagement of anger. It can be your disengagement of disgust. Somebody's
yeah.
emotional palette isn't particularly that big, and they are just quite good at inhibiting their responses. Right? This is the flaws with these twitches are numerous.
Yeah.
Numerous. Does that mean you should actively ignore them at all? No. No, right? Because if you spot that piece of information and it connects to something else later on, I might use it, right? I might not. Who knows? This is why you need to be engaging and memorizing and observing and changing and twisting and playing with
Yeah.
the information to see what fits, right? The
Like,
people.
like you sort of putting the pieces together. If one piece doesn't fit with another piece, you don't discard those pieces. You sort of, otherwise you'll have an incomplete jigsaw. You've
You
got
got it,
to
mate.
something else.
You got it. You got it. The people that look at somebody and tell somebody categorically about them are psychics, right? That's what they are. But they are saying things like you're thinking of something from when you were younger because it can't be from when you're older.
You're thinking about the past. Oh.
Whoa, you insightful creature! We just need Rafiki to jump out and beat you to death with a stick. Um, So this is why I think a great many people are only fascinated with body language, but they don't, or any kind of detection or non-verbal communication, any of that kind of stuff. Call it whatever you want. I couldn't care less what people call it, as long as everybody knows what I'm on about. What did I used to say? You can call deduction. Clod hopping bicycle trumpets, if you wanted to. I don't care. The terminology it doesn't matter to me.
You know, folks, that's the name of the new series.
um,
You coming in
that's
on a
gonna.
penny farthing.
That's it. That's going to be on the internet forever. Um, I forgot the point I was trying to make. But so what we can do is we can have a look at the interview and
Yeah.
what I think we should do, and you tell me if you agree with this or not, is we can talk about certain observations that can be made, but we really need to then open out on the variables that need to be considered and the other options that
Brainstorm.
yeah that's deductionists can play with. That was the point I was making. It's just come back to me. The reason that people are only fascinated with this world is because of that easy option. You can figure out a language, like you see this word, it means this, right? It's not that kind of thing. You see this, and it might mean.
Yeah,
It becomes like
yeah.
it becomes like the way the tournament roster looks in the Karate Kid. You've got all of these other things having a fight, and then only a few move on, and a few less move on, and a few less move on, and a few less move on, until you've got one all-encompassing kind of hypothesis for the scenario that is the best fit, not that
Yeah.
is the outcome, that it is
Yeah.
the best fit for all of the available information. Humans don't behave like numbers and equations and words where this equals this. There is a degree of interpretation to everything that we aren't always necessarily aware of ourselves, right?
Yeah. It's like taking it back to when we talked about sensationalization of the Sherlock BBC Sherlock series, when he's doing in his mind deducing,
Mm,
and everything
mm,
pops up and eventually gets to one answer. And a lot of people, like that, when we went to the conventions and stuff, they said that's what they were into, that's what they liked about Sherlock and seeing that. But that sensationalized side of it, you saw him get to one answer, and it's not that. In real life, if you're doing it in real life, it's many answers, and you'd be there forever doing it. You wouldn't be there in a matter of seconds figuring something out. You'd be looking at it in that full spectrum, which could take up to probably a day.
Yeah.
A day right. on emotion.
You're dead right. But that's not sexy enough. If we're gonna paraphrase Sherlock, Moriarty, but Sherlock, the TV series. So right, we'll just have a quick look through some of the comments that's going on. New scenario, micro expressions we've tackled. Jennifer's face is usually all that she needs to communicate anything. By that usually means she has a case of resting bitch face. Usually, but not always. Maddie gets that as well, resting bitch face.
Run now.
Hey, that was her own admission, like a couple of years ago when we first started talking about this kind of thing. That was her own admission. I'm absolved from guilt of all kinds in that scenario. Ghost Dog is here. We've not seen Ghost Dog for a while. I can't see them at all right now. Anyway, I can see your profile picture. So hey. Bored. This reminds me of a YouTube channel from Brazil. That's okay. Fair enough. That's probably back on. OnlyFans. I like Zwast has brought up OnlyFans. I wish I saw that come up at the time, so I'd know what it was in contextual relation to. A great example of statement analysis. A great example. We've been talking about the junk science of body language, and there's been a comment on OnlyFans. Where's the connection there? Right? Without the context of the scenario, you could look at these two statements and be like, hey? What? Here we go. Board, do you think that maybe an AI can learn body language to detect lies through machine learning? No.
What's
yeah, no, I don't. There was a book that I mentioned, God, it was a few videos back, and it's called Why Computers Can't Think Like People. So I categorically right there. Search it out, and that will help you in that. But that's another one of these kind of easy fixes. Yeah, we'll get a computer to do it all for us. That can't compute all of the information relevant towards the proper reading and engagement, because that will still do. I've taken all of this information to spit out one answer in the moment. Whereas we need to be continually processing and interacting. Ghost Dog. Oh yeah, he says, I haven't spoken in a bit. How's married life? Awesome. In a word. Awesome in a word. Where are we now? A couple of statements from example phone calls from the guys. Hello, my partner's been murdered. And then the other person going, okay, let's start from the beginning. How's your day going? Good evening, my boyfriend is trying to kill me. Can you please send someone to stop? Facebook user, your name's not coming up, so Facebook user, and you have a murderer that will call 911 and over-exaggerate emotion to sell it, especially in domestic crimes. True. They will also not provide medical attention such as CPR. True. Words used or not used are telling, and how they're used. Telling. True. But also not an equivalent. Not a this means this. Pterodactyls are unfortunately a big problem for Jennifer. Lots of dung in her area. I meant where she lives. That sounded odd. That sounded oddly euphemistic. I didn't mean it like that. As Wast says, what if they just ask, did you intentionally murder him, her, them? Analyze the voice. Computer says, guitar. I'm going to give you an example that will show you why computers aren't fit to test humans in this kind of way. Have you ever taken an IQ test online?
I have not, no.
Okay. The last one I took says I've got an IQ of 362.
Okay.
which is the biggest IQ of all time anywhere ever. I went to a proper person that is actually gone through the education to make a decision on what your intelligence quotient is, and they gave me the quotient that way, which is decidedly within the range of normal human beings. 146 it was, so it's the top 2 percentile, but still not good enough for Mensa. Here we go. A board's biggest difficulty in deduction is that people are not always rational. Yeah. Yeah. And Facebook user, there is no lying behaviour, which is true. There isn't. There isn't any kind of Pinocchio where this means this. You know, I was going to make a kind of lewd joke of indicating mood, but it is a Pinocchio reference. But that's the only clear-cut physical sign you can know. Right?
Didn't see anything grow that we could see on screen.
That's it. Somebody's engorged. Engaged. Engaged, I meant to say. Not engorged. You said engorged. I said engorged. Engorged. Sorry. So, enraptured, yeah. Enslaved, depending upon the signs. So let's watch a bit of this. And I mean, there's 2 seconds in, and Hemsworth already looks like he smelt a pretty powerful fart.
Looks like he's completely changed his face.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I need to turn the volume on. That would be a good start.
Universe.
I love that.
Look at that. All genuine smiles, all genuine engagement. And then think about it contextually. Press junkets, or whatever the official name of them is, for the actors go on for bloody ages. They go on for bloody ages, and it's the same questions day in, day out. Day in, day out. So if you can keep up the same kind of, oh, hello, Mr. Journalist. Yeah, let's answer this question that I haven't answered 6,000 times already. If you can keep up that same kind of authenticity, fair play. 99.8% of humans can't. Right? We can't. And that's not a factual number. That's just there to highlight how big of a portion it is. But look at that. Right? There's no kind of anything suggesting any kind of contention between them at the minute. They're just all there enjoying the opening part of an interview.
Just go to the next question.
Intimidating at first, mostly because this is where it all began for me, was on this film. We filmed this before Captain Marvel. So I was figuring out this character, but very much in the dark, because there was no script to read. There wasn't even... it wasn't all fleshed out yet with the Captain Marvel solo film either, so it was just kind of finding our way, but it was a good group of people to figure it out with, right, guys?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun being there for all my extra takes?
That was one. That was another one. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. The people going, oh, Don.
Oh, yeah. It's clearly a joke of rapport. You know, everyone's always done that, where you riff off the other person. You'll just sit there and laugh at the joke of a person you've known for ages and ages. That's how you begin a relationship. Usually then you start riffing off one another, that kind of thing, isn't it? It'd be weirder if they didn't respond in any way or any jokey way. And Don Cheadle, he's got that kind of like sarky edge to him as well, like dark wit humour.
Yeah.
I very much imagine that's what's going on here. They all know each other, don't they? And that'd be the case. That or Don
Precisely.
Cheadle.
That's precisely what it is. And I'm saying precisely not to kind of negate everything that I've just saying, but how much I feel that is the most likely scenario of here in terms of what it is. Take Jackman's and Ryan Reynolds' relationship. Why isn't that considered serious? All of the banter and shit that they throw at one another. Right? There was
the one where he did in an X-Men podcast, and Ryan Reynolds popped up with all the X-Men cast, and they all disappeared off the Zoom call, and Hugh was left with him going,
there was
moron, you could look at that and say, "Oh my God, they're being horrible to Ryan Reynolds."
Yeah. Yeah, there was one today as well. I don't know if it came out today, but I only saw it today. It was Hugh talking about the fact that one of the songs from Spirited, the Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell film, has been nominated for an Oscar, or in the Oscar category of best song within a film, or whatever it's called. And he sat there going like completely kind of straight faced. I love Octavia Spencer. I love Will Ferrell. I love the names of the guys who wrote the music for the film because they did The Greatest Showman as well. But please, don't validate Ryan Reynolds this way. I have to work with him for a year soon to do Deadpool and Wolverine, and he's just going to be insufferable.
And there will be someone out there who will say Jackman hates Reynolds.
Oh, God, mate! And look at it through the contextual lens of the fact that they are all actors.
Yeah.
On a whim, they can pull out a believable expression. On a whim.
Just madness. Absolutely madness.
Here we go. Let's have a look at some more. But like also, right, let's take the kind of junk science approach to it. There are those that would look at the legs of Hemsworth and Cheadle in that they are pointing away from Brie Larson that way. Her hands are indicating a kind of gentle discomfort, at the fact that she's just suffered a jibe and, oh, that was uncomfortable. Oh, I'm trying to make my way through this. Slightly turned away from him as well, right? Whereas all of those could explain that she is is suffering as a result of an ill-timed joke. But if we watch it back,
so it was just kind of finding our way, but it was a good group of people to figure it out with, right, guys?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun being there for all my extra takes?
Signed you up for the apprenticeship.
in context, nobody's legs moved. They're all pretty tired, right? They're all pretty tired. They're all kind of physical fatigued at the minute. That's one of my approaches towards reading people, is to understand what the body does when it's tired, right? How me fidgeting in a chair, as I very often do, can be interpreted as anxiety, as discomfort, as energy, and whatnot. But let's look at the fact that I am quite a heavy guy. And normally I like to lean on one side this way. It's quite comfortable. But that amount of weight for that amount of time on one arse cheek is going to be uncomfortable and require me to go like this to sit on the other one, just to kind of give the other side a break, just to give it some kind of breathing room. This physical balance of movement needs to be considered, which, to the best of my knowledge, nobody considers. Nobody takes that into effect. And Bree's hands went from here, back to the position that they were in before. People in the public light, public lens, microscope, spotlight, whatever it's called, they are also coached in terms of how to comport themselves, coached in terms of how to behave, right? The people that we consider to be more likable, more down to earth, and this kind of thing are the people that buck those kinds of coaching. But it does go on. We know this for a fact. We being, the ignorant public. So that's why people like Hemsworth is considered to be quite down to earth, because I'm just doing what I am. If you ever watch an interview with Sam Worthington, the guy that plays Jake Sully in Avatar, he's the same. He's the same. Let's watch a bit more.
I don't feel like I actually learned anything.
Don, what was it like when somebody new comes in? Is there like initiation? Is there are you accepting? You're like,
No. There was definitely a hazing period.
I think I'm still in it.
She's still in it.
Yeah.
And it's good because we actually get to kind of play with that. We do anyway, for sure, in the scene itself when she kind of shows up. So it was nice, but she kind of fit right in. She paid her dues on time. The initiation dues were paid promptly. And
Still waiting for my membership card that hasn't been received.
$25, yeah.
Right? How is this not anything more than a kind of British-esque sarcastic humour, of which Hemsworth is infamous for it, Cheadle infamous for it. I don't know if Brie Larson's infamous for it, because I don't know a lot about her previous kind of what do they call it? Her resume or whatever.
It seemed to me, if I was in that position between two guys like that and you were involved with that kind of banter, you would be doing what Bree's doing and you'd be playing along, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course you would.
She's trying to match their sort of tone of it all, play along with the story that was initiation and stuff like that, and she's very much still trying to seek their approval. It's
Exactly.
like, bloody hell.
Now, to me, when you look at the statement analysis side of things, you might look at her. Yeah, my membership card. Still waiting on my membership card, as an attempt to try and join in. Right, her attempt to try and join in, but the tone dipping might indicate her discomfort. It might indicate that she doesn't consider herself to be as funny. It might indicate. I'm not saying that because I really enjoyed Captain Marvel. I think she's kind of got this straight-laced comedic hard ass down. But, it might indicate a number of things from what's going on inside of her head. What we could do as the interviewer is register this and pose more questions around that to try and find out and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's go a bit more.
That'll come. The card comes.
It'll come. And then you're in. You're in.
then
Once you
you're
get your
in.
card, you pay
not
your
about you,
dues,
that's
and everything is in.
Exactly.
Chris, we did a thing with your body double / stand-in. And he sent a little message that is, in a sense, a message, in a sense.
I was eating because I was stressed out, candy bars and chips and donuts, gaining weight. But since
And
I
you said
started,
you get this private footage of me.
That advert always reminds me of candy bars. The guy from Super Troopers. Candy bars.
Bars.
But look, so if we are applying reasoning, if we are applying the approaches of the clod hopping bicycle trumpets of deduction, induction, and abduction, from the fact that these are all pretty high energy individuals, pretty synonymous with comedy and action and movement and all of this kind of thing, the fact that they are very low on energy, low on movement, low on expression at this stage would likely indicate, if we are abducting reasoning backwards, that this is late on in the day. They've been doing this for a while, right?
Yeah.
Early morning, you're coming out of your kind of slovenly, oh God, different time zones. What country are we in now as an actor? This kind of thing. You sit down, you do a couple of interviews, you get going. Midday, you're about to have some food. Your energy levels are improving. Your energy stores are being replenished. And you get this kind of mid-afternoon peak. Later on, it's dropping because you're coming to the end of it. You think, I'll have my food afterwards, we're nearly done, or I'll have a drink afterwards because we're nearly there. This kind of thing. That's what's the most likely outcome of this. Does that mean that is the outcome of this? No. No, because we don't have enough context here. We've got 1 minute and 28 seconds of an interview that we can't see either side of, even if we did the full 8 minutes 15.
Yeah. You're missing portion.
Exactly. There was another meme that typifies this. It was of a Wheel of Fortune game, and it had blank UCK blank 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 N A blank blank tonight at the bottom. So it kind of looked like everyone was trying to get the fuck me in the ass tonight, but it turns out that it was actually some kind of song title as well, and that's a great. It wasn't fuck me in the ass tonight either, but also that's staying on the internet forever as well. I've made myself chuckle with that. My point being that is an example of how a single serving element can be misconstrued when you don't apply it to the grander context of things. Yeah?
Yeah.
I want to see him hold a handstand for, let's be generous. I want to see Chris hold a handstand for 5 seconds.
What? I can't even do it. Why would Bobby set me up like that? I'm against a wall or what?
I don't know. Bobby just said
specifically.
he was like, I want to see Chris do that.
Well, we heard we're tight on space in here, you said.
Yeah.
See, there you go. There's the homely, down-to-earth behaviour coming out. But because the question's focused on Chris and whatnot, that's where the emotional connection is. The two other guys haven't really moved. So we got more information, more backup to their physical kind of response towards why they're behaving in the kind of way. And the most applicable outcome is just low energy. Low energy in the line with sarcasm and kind of banter, because let's face it, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, so it doesn't take a lot of energy to kind of be outlandish and make a joke and make a song and dance about this kind of thing. Sarcasm's quite easily just kind of burst out as a reply. All of these kind of fit, and this is what I mean. We're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of this, and leaving the options that fit together under one hypothesis. Does that mean it is the outcome? No! But that isn't sexy enough for YouTube. that isn't sexy enough for articles and newspaper interviews and what else, right? Yeah, exactly. This is why there is such a misunderstood opinion of how to properly read someone. And when I say properly, that is only my opinion on the work itself, right? I don't have the holy grail of reading a person. I just have an approach that takes stock of more elements than this means this, which is reliable. This is the scientific method applied in the way that it can be applied to something that is a soft science.
You don't suggest anything, do you? I think, like, obviously these people on YouTube, they put, like, write it in stone, don't they, that this must mean this. And once you're on that, you'll then pivot off it, I imagine, in a direction where you feel affirmed beforehand that, oh, whatever direction you go in now must be right, because the thing before, I got that right, so the next place I go, it must mean something.
Confirmation bias. You got it, mate. You got it.
Yeah. You're going to get the wrong thing on. If you get the one thing wrong at the start, the rest is going to be bloody tainted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any other thing that come in connection with that.
Yeah. No, you're dead right. You're dead right. Dead right.
You're going to be like, right, what are the number of ways she could be pissed off? And you could drag in everything.
And just make it a shite site worse.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at a bit more here. Yeah, just because it seems to be more focused on Don Cheadle and he's pointing at her there. This is going from 1:57 to 3:35.
Okay.
I think affection among the cast members, except for...
No, this is terrible.
Is it like getting into the Hall of Fame in sports, like becoming an Avenger? Is it like you won? You're like, this is the thing. Once you get in there, is this like you've reached the pinnacle, the club?
I mean, at this point, you start to feel, wow, this is the realization.
See, the thing with Don, and you talk about face reading and whatnot, is he's very good at stopping himself from genuinely smiling. If we go back a little bit, it was just as he mentioned about joining the A team. Look at that. If you study how a face is supposed to work when it doesn't have anything medically or traumatic affecting how it's supposed to be working and moving and this kind of thing, and you look at a logical cerebral attack of making sure your lips are tight to hide the fact that you're smiling, right? You're hiding the fact that you're smiling whilst making a remark about somebody else, but his inhibition of a smile looks a little like the textbook kind of approach of the way people talk about disgust and smelling things that aren't necessarily nice because nostrils flare and whatnot, right? But also when we're inhibiting smiles, we control it and we
stifle.
We breathe in more. When we breathe in more, our wing dilation goes up to allow us to take more air in, and has nothing to do with anything negative in this scenario. It just provides further support for the other moments that Don Cheadle has made an appearance in some kind of TV interview setting. He might be a totally different dude when he gets home, right? He might be. Who knows? Yeah. He might take his hat off and have a Marge Simpson haircut under there.
Might get on the floor, punching the floor with his fists, shouting, "Why, Brie Larson? Why are you such an awful human being?"
Right. Listen, come on. That interviewer guy is going to go home and he's going to create an altar with pictures of her to burn for hurting the Avengers. But like, I can't get over how things like this can be misinterpreted.
In there, is this like you've reached the pinnacle, the club?
I mean, it's.
But like, did you see that then when he looked across? That kind of looked like the textbook definition of it. But when they talk, I missed whether they directed the question towards Chris or not. But like, if they did, that's why they look there. But if they didn't, look at the kind of mutual respect they've got for an OG Avenger.
Yeah.
Immediately, Chris has to answer that, right? And these are the things, the kind of contextual elements that are going unnoticed. The kind of other things that need to be considered. We are seeing 2 camera angles and 4 people. The reality is, behind those cameras, there are probably at least 5 to 10 other people there.
Yeah. You've got your whole PR team, haven't you? You know you're on a timer as well, so you know you're looking out for them when they need to signal to hurry up sometimes, don't they? You know, when the sort of questions are, especially if like actors are tired and doing interviews, they'll have people at hand to give a nod to, won't they? Who will then like end the interview or hurry it up or something like that. You'll be aware that there's someone there waiting for something from you.
Yeah. You got it, mate. You got it.
It's mad.
You got it. So with that in mind, guys, don't forget this. Don't forget it. Don't forget it.
Check out those easy ads.
If it is that you have an interest in wanting to be able to read people or whatever you want to call it, do yourself the favour, do yourself the solid of putting the work in. Right? Do yourself doctors don't read 2 or 3 textbooks and then go, "That's cool, I'm off to do a heart transplant." Right? Yeah, exactly. I've got my operation kit here. The board game stabbed me in quite good success here. I don't know where that voice came from, but fair enough.
Rounded off knife.
Yeah, so there it is, guys. Part rant, part insightful, part informal. Hopefully, from all sides. If anything that you should be taking away from this, it should be that your work will be continual. If it is that you want to achieve any kind of success, whatever that is, within the realm of reading a person. So yeah, well let's tackle the last couple of comments before. Where are I? Wow, 300 plus IQ. I am Elon's Neuralink beta. I don't ever want to be involved in a sentence that includes Elon Musk and baiting anything. To be honest. Board's gone. Just call me Hen. Hi. I will have to watch this on replay. I hope your 2023 is a wonderful year for you. Thank you very much. Just call me Hen. Please consider the same well wishes returned with gusto and verve and fervour to your good self. And Zwast, and Zwast has said, Twitter solved JFK. There we go. Which is rightly so, because they also caused it. Saw it on YouTube, so it must be true.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta be.
Not to spot pressure you, dude, but how's the edit going for the documentary film?
Oh, it's going well. We've got a few what do we call them? Can't do words. Text bits to shove on. And then it's...
Your statement analysis indicates that you are lying there, sir. That was a high degree of tension, far too much pause, far too much...
You don't understand. I've been held at gunpoint throughout this entire podcast. Have you not seen all my signs? Help me.
Not until you communicate in semaphore with tiny little red flags will I ever be able to understand what you're talking about. No, but seriously, you were saying text.
Yeah, got a bit of text pieces to put on because we're gonna title the episode clips, put on there, and then it's done. It'll be all done.
Amazing. So hopefully everyone will be able to see it and get involved and enjoy the many splendors and bearded refinements that is our little documentary film. So with that in mind, guys, we are going to love you oh so tenderly and leave you oh so sweetly, and we will see you next time for another episode. Bye.